Declaration of Independence in under 10 minutes. Hello everyone, Eric the LonePineWolfman here. You may have heard of the Declaration of Independence and know a line or two, but what is the Declaration all about? Whether you agree with it or not, here is what the document means. Side note, I know Jefferson wasn't the only writer to work on the document, but he did do the bulk of the work, so just know when I say Jefferson, I mean Jefferson and the other writers. Let's get into it. Part 1. We're leaving, and we have the right to do so. This is the preamble of the Declaration, and this is Jefferson's opening claim. He basically says that the states, not colonies, but the states are leaving, but as to not be judged harshly by other contemporaries, and maybe people in the future, they are going to explain why they are leaving. And this is a good note. A good writer never assumes the reader knows what they're talking about, and so the writer must explain all their evidence and reasoning. Point number 2. If you don't know about natural rights, here is a refresher. The beginning of the second paragraph is probably the most famous part, when they talk about all men are created equal and have these natural rights. But we know that people just kind of get hung up on this part, and they don't really read the rest of the document. But what's important for us today is that we know that today we interpret it as that all people, no matter sex or race, etc., have these natural rights. And so what are these natural rights? Life, nobody has the right to take your life away. Liberty, nobody has the right to take your freedom away. And number 3 is the pursuit of happiness. Nobody has the right to take away what you want to do in life. These rights in and of themselves also are debated, and people have points and counterpoints and such. We'll discuss that in perhaps another video. It's too big for us today. But let's move on to point number 3. Governments are formed to protect those rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are natural rights. No king, no queen, no politician, and no government gives you these rights. You are born with them. And that is very important for us to know. However, we also know that humans can be greedy and humans can be mean. So people create governments to help organize and protect those rights. And so basically, Jefferson is saying that's the government's job. That's what the government is supposed to do. They're supposed to protect those rights, and that's it. Part number 4. If government doesn't do its job, people have the right to change it or get rid of it. If government doesn't protect those natural rights, or worse, tries to actively take them away for their own benefit, people have the right and duty to change, replace, or alter the government. Now this seems maybe, something crazy, at least for us to do in our modern times and everything else like that. Why are you going to overthrow the government? But you have to see Jefferson's point. You have to remember that we know that humans can be greedy and can be mean at sometimes, and you have to realize that the government is not some robot or some omnipotent being. The government is made of, human beings, and human beings can be greedy and can be mean at times, and so when you put people in position of power, some of those people might abuse it. And so this is what Jefferson is getting at. If the government tries to actively take away those natural rights, those life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, the people as a common whole have a right to try to change that government, to try to make it something so that it is more beneficial and protects the rights of the people. And so far, he's just been establishing broad, non-specific facts about rights and government, all that stuff. But now it's going to get personal in part 5. Part 5, King George, your government is bad and here's why. After explaining broadly what government is supposed to do, Jefferson gets to his big accusation. King George III is not doing his job protecting the natural rights of the people. You can also say the Parliament and everything else like that is not also there, but he focuses in on King George III, i.e. the government is not doing its job. And so the people are leaving to form a new government. Remember, he's established that governments are supposed to protect the rights, and if they don't, the people can change it. And so he's saying, King George III, you're not doing your job, so we're going to change the government. Again, a good writer must give proof for their claims, and so he's not just telling us that he's not doing his job, he's going to give several reasons, giving an example of how he is not doing his job. And so again, if you didn't know how the government was not doing its job, again, if you were just kind of reading this and you wanted to know why, like what exactly were they doing, again, he lists about 27 reasons, or grievances as we'll call them, one more heinous than the last, it seems, of how the government is doing such a terrible job. I'm not going to read all 27 here, but read the document, check it out. Well, these grievances range from bad to outright cruel. Part number 6. We tried talking about it, but nobody would listen. After the grievances, Jefferson gets into how the Americans appealed to the king and to Parliament about their problems, appealed to their same culture and their history, and tried to fix each complaint peacefully by reason and talk. But essentially, nobody listened or cared. So again, we tried to resolve everything through the system. The system itself didn't work, and so the people are reserving their right, as mentioned in part 4, to alter or change the government. Okay, and you see how he's linking up with previous arguments and everything else like that. Again, if you want to write an essay and want to know, especially an argumentative essay with claims and backing up your claims with evidence, if you want to see how it's done, I mean, Declaration is a very interesting and good paper to see because Jefferson kind of just lines it all up kind of nicely and perfectly. One thing kind of answers the last, and it's really neat. And so he kind of wraps up everything in our final point here. So we're leaving. The main things in this last little bit is that he mentions that we tried everything we could to resolve everything and stay connected. However, none of that worked. And so we're going to leave rather than be oppressed. And so these United States are going to do everything that an independent nation does. Okay? And the very last part is that Jefferson mentions that everybody signing this document is pledging their lives, their fortunes, every single thing that they have, they're pledging to this cause. And that's it. It's a quick examination of the Declaration in case you didn't know what it encompassed or simply had trouble understanding it if you tried to read it. But do you agree with some of the points? Do you not agree with it? Please share your thoughts below. I encourage you all to read the full thing and check out other important documents from history as well. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.